I hope you all can see. I mean, generally, I hope you're getting some little taste of how to do retreat, doing these sessions together. But one thing I hope you'll notice is that basically every session is a repetition, right? I mean, retreat is like very much repetitive. It should be that every session you is set up the same way, where you go through certain steps each session, and they're more or less the same. Starting with you're sitting down in your posture, and then generating some concentration, generating a motivation, going for refuge. If you want to do some prayers, and then the main part of the meditation session is where you spend time going through, the Lamrim outlines or different material that you've studied before, meditate on it, and then at the end you dedicate. So that's kind of like, yeah, and then every session is basically the same with just slight variations. But the more time, when you're actually doing a retreat, the more time you can spend in session, and then between sessions, the more mindful you can be of what you were doing in session, and the less distracted you can be with doing other things. Then the more you build up kind of the energy of focusing your mind on, Buddhist teachings and accumulating merit and doing purification practices and stuff. So in this kind of situation, we're only doing 4 hours a day for 2 days. So you won't see that, that much of a change. But if you can do, you know, in a more typical setting, each session would be like 2 hours long or 2.5 hours long, and it'd be 4 sessions a day. And then you'd be in a place, like a retreat center where you don't have to meet with other people and do other stuff. And you can, between sessions, you can spend your time, reading Dharma or just taking walks and thinking about things. And ideally, someone else is cooking the food and doing the shopping for you. And then, and you can, spend a whole week or 10 days or a month or something. Then you really see you get a real good taste of what, the Buddha was talking about when he taught different things. Um, and also, I mean, so where also there's a big difference is, especially the preparatory practices at the beginning, the different prayers and preparatory meditations. They can be much, much, much more elaborate. We're doing a super simplified form here, but when we do the module on practice, we'll learn a lot more about that when we talk about how to do some of the practice requirements for this course, the Vajrasattva purification practice and so forth. And I think we have to do the Nyes. Then we'll learn all more about that. But yeah. But basically, there's many other kinds of practices you can do as a support for meditation that include different ways of accumulating merit, different ways of purifying and making requests and so forth. So we're just doing a very simplified form now, but it's the way to start. Okay, so let's start. My audio is not strong. Well, probably I'm not talking loud. I'll just talk louder. Check it anyway. I can turn the output level up. Yeah, output level. Oh, that's the speaker output level. Here's the mic level. Okay. Yeah, we'll start anyway, the same way as the other sessions. So first get comfortable in your posture, and then, yeah, focus your mind on some object of meditation for a couple minutes. Generate some mental focus. Quiet down the distracting thoughts. Set an intention to stay focused here and what we're trying to think about, contemplate for the next hour. And then visualize yourself surrounded by all sentient beings. Again, as we had before, with your parents on either side of you, and friends and family on your sides and behind you, and antagonists, people, and you find antagonistic in front, facing towards you, and then all the other sentient beings around, and recognize your sameness with them, and wishing for happiness, wishing to be free from suffering. And then think about your motivation for engaging in this session. And we can enhance our motivation by reflecting on the four immeasurable thoughts. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to abide in equanimity, free from attachment to friends and anger towards enemies. May they abide in equanimity. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. Please grant my blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. I myself will cause them to have these. Please grant my blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free from these. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to be never separated from the happiness which is totally beyond suffering. It's like nirvana for enlightenment. May they be never separated from this. I myself will cause them to be never separated from this. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. And then if you like, you can visualize field of refuge objects in space in front of you. Shakyamuni Buddha or anything else. And we can recite this refuge and bodhicitta prayer. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections from meditating on the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections from meditating on the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit all transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections from meditating on the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Then we can make a request from our heart for guidance in our meditation, guidance and inspiration, and blessing. And then imagine the field of refuge. Is very pleased and then comes to the space above the crown of her head and remains there to guide us. So then we'll continue. Actually, we'll continue with the 8 absorptions at the time of death. And just to have some better continuity, we'll just do the first 2 again, very briefly, and then continue through the whole hour with the rest. So we'll try to, I think we'll be able to go through all 8 stages in an hour. So again, first, just visualize clearly or imagine clearly the scene of your death, your dying, very comfortable place, maybe in your own bedroom at home, or you can imagine a nice bedroom at a hospice or something. Anyway, very comfortable place with the kind of lighting you like and protected, safe environment, so forth. And imagine your body becoming very weak. You're losing your physical strength. And you recognize that, for whatever reasons, circumstances, that it's time to depart from this life. And your death is nearing. And you accept that. So with full acceptance, then you turn your attention towards making the most of the opportunity that this transformation affords, leaving this life, and prepare to do whatever you can to ensure you go to a good future rebirth, future life. So imagine the scene and prepare your own mind, and especially remember what you want to focus on, how you want to focus your mind as you die. So as we start again with the mirage-like appearance, the first stage, I was thinking last session, I think a good analogy, one way to think about this whole process is like, because it ends with the clear light of death, which is this very incredible, subtle, powerful state of mind, which affords us an incredible opportunity to profoundly meditate and purify immensely obscurations in our mind and create an immense amount of merit and make great strides towards liberation and enlightenment. So it's something very subtle and a beautiful thing. So the 8 stages of absorption are kind of like, it's like shedding layers of mental activity that inhibit us making use of the clear light of death. So it's kind of like, like we're trying to do a very nuanced sort of dance or, yoga or some physical movement. but we're wearing many, many, many layers of clothes, like in the winter, so that we can't do it very well. So each stage of absorption is like we're shedding another layer of clothes, and we can use our mind, and mind becomes more pliable, more flexible, more able to meditate in a more powerful way. So kind of think of it like that. Instead of that we're losing some ability, it's like we're shedding a kind of baggage in a way. So at each stage, again, we want to try to generate a virtuous mental state, and we have a more powerful experience of it. It's the main thing we want to imagine. Okay, so back to our imagined scene of our death. So imagine the first stage, the earth element dissolves, eye sense power ceases to function. We have the outer signs of, or we lose our bodily luster. The body becomes thin and weak. We might have a feeling of sinking under the ground. And the inner sign of this mirage, like a shimmering appearance to the mind. So imagine you recognize this as the first stage of absorption, and you recognize this is the time to meditate and practice, especially, and focus your mind on whatever virtuous mental state you've decided you want to focus on, and imagine you have a very powerful experience of that. So just for a couple minutes, we'll meditate like that. And then you recognize that the next stage of absorption is the smoke-like appearance. And then you recognize as the water element ceases to function, the bodily fluids dry up, and the eye sense consciousness ceases to function. The eye sense power ceases to function. One cannot hear sounds anymore, and the inner sound, the hum that you hear in your ears, that ceases. And then there's an appearance to the mind of smoke, kind of smoke filling space. Gradually replaces the shimmering image. So you recognize the mirage-like appearance has passed. Now one's experiencing the second stage of absorption, the smoke-like appearance. The next that will arise is the fireflies or sparks. But now it's a time to meditate and focus your mind as you've determined you want to. So imagine you have a more powerful experience of a virtuous attitude you're focused on than before. And now gradually the fireflies or sparks and smoke, that kind of appearance arises to the mind. You recognize this is the third level of absorption. The smoke-like appearance is past. The flickering lamp appearance is next to come. But for now, this is appearance like fireflies. The fire element dissolves, and there's a noticeable cooling of one's body from the periphery towards the heart chakra. So imagine your body is cooling from the lower part of your body first up towards the heart chakra. And the nose sense consciousness ceases to function, so you can no longer smell. The aggregate of discrimination dissolves, so you can no longer remember names or details of events, people and events around you. Your breathing becomes belabored. And there's an inner appearance like fireflies or sparks. You recognize now is the time to meditate, and you focus your attention on the virtuous state of mind. And your mind, because your mind is becoming more subtle, imagine you have a much more powerful experience of that than before, perhaps than ever before. And the next appearance is the flame, like the flickering light, like the flame of a flickering lamp. So like, again, you can't see that. It's not like you see the flame directly, but it's like you see the light reflected on the surface behind it or just in the space above. It's kind of like a flickering, the light of a flickering flame, like a candle flame about to go out. So what is the air element dissolves, so your breathing um, becomes very belabored, and then you have a long exhalation and then can't inhale. Your breathing, your breath stops. You can no longer make physical movement. The body sense power absorbs, so you no longer experience any tactile sensations of, smooth or rough or hot and cold or any touch. You don't feel anymore. The tongue sense power absorbs. You can no longer experience any tastes, and the tongue contracts. Its root turns blue, kind of becomes short and thick in the mouth. And then there's an inner, to your mind, there's a mental appearance, again, like a flickering light. And you recognize that the spark or firefly-like appearance has passed. The white near attainment, so this whitish appearance is about to arise. But for now, there's this flickering light appearance, and it's time to meditate and make use of this more subtle level of consciousness that is becoming manifest, right, that you have access to. And imagine you have a more profound, more powerful experience of this, your chosen virtuous mental state than ever before. Next, the 80 gross conceptions cease to function, which basically means you don't have your ability to have volitional conceptual thought ceases. So all the mental chatter that you've continually experienced, it completely subsides, quiets down. There's no conceptual thought happening anymore, except on a very subtle level, perhaps, but imagine all that energy goes into your chosen virtuous mental state that you're focusing on. And it becomes more powerful, more clear. It's the only thing occupying the space of your mind. So as that happens, then there's the vivid white appearance. So imagine, your sense consciousness have totally ceased to function. So you can't experience the external world at all anymore. And you're going totally within, deeper and deeper within. what appears to the mind is like an autumn sky, completely free from, well, pervaded by moonlight, right? Like an autumn sky pervaded by white in the deep of night, pervaded by, without clouds or dust or anything, completely crystal clear and pervaded by soft white light. So imagine you recognize this as the fifth level of the absorptions. The flickering lamp appearance has ceased. The red, orangish red sky-like appearance is about to arise. For now is this vivid white appearance. And you need to recognize, you need to focus your mind, meditate, and you have a more powerful, profound experience of whatever it is you're meditating on than ever before. And then gradually an orangish red sky-like appearance, like in autumn, in the totally clear sky without any clouds or dust, and the evening at sunset, just after the sun's sunk below the horizon. Imagine the space filled with orangish, yellowish light, completely pervades the entire space. So there's that kind of appearance to your mind. You recognize the white sky-like appearance has ceased. The dark, the black near attainment, black sky-like appearance is about to arise. But for now, it's this orangish red appearance. And it's time to meditate. And you have a more powerful, virtuous state of mind than you've ever had before. So this reddish orange appearance gradually fades and is replaced by just a deep black appearance, like like the autumn sky in the deepest hours of the night. And there's no starlight, no moonlight, no sunlight, no light whatsoever. Just a thick darkness pervading space, but very vivid. So you recognize this is the seventh level of absorption, the reddish orange appearance is just past. The clear light mind of death is about to arise. But for now, you experience, it's called the black near attainment. And it's a black sky-like appearance. The mind is more subtle than you've ever experienced before. You turn your attention or continue your meditation. And it becomes more deep and more powerful. And then in the later part of this black appearance, you swoon into unconsciousness. So imagine that you become totally unconscious and abide in that state for a while. And gradually you arise from this unconscious state, and the clear light mind of death dawns. So what appears to the mind is like a vast space pervaded by a clear light. So imagine you're sitting on a mountaintop, high up in the mountains somewhere in the autumn, just before dawn, before the sun has risen, but the sun's light pervades the entire space. There's no stars, no moon, no sun appearing in the sky, no clouds, just a vast, crystal clear space pervaded by a very clear light. So you recognize the black vivid sky-like appearance is past. This is the 8th stage, clear light mind of death. So it's important you recognize it. And also recognize this is the most subtle level of mind. That's essential now to continue to meditate on whatever virtual state you've chosen. And imagine you have a more powerful, profound experience of that than ever before. And also there's a sense of non-duality. There's no separation between the subject and object, the person meditating and the thing meditating on. They're completely united, inseparable. So imagine this clear light mind of death gradually comes to an end. And then the absorptions arise in the reverse order. So as the clear light mind of death ends and the black sky-like appearance arises again, then at that moment is when your mind separates from the body. Death actually happens, and in that very same moment, you take rebirth as a bardo being. So imagine just very quickly the other 8 absorptions. The other 6 happen in reverse order. So there's first the black sky-like appearance, and then reddish orange sky-like appearance. Then the white sky-like appearance. And the light of a flickering lamp. And then sparks or fireflies. And then the smoke-like appearance. And then finally the mirage-like appearance. So imagine you've taken rebirth as a bardo being. With a very virtuous mind. Headed for a very good rebirth. Guys, you can relax your attention there. Turn the light on. So, why don't we take a break there? We'll take a 15-minute break now. And then, because we went for quite a long, so we could do all 8 in one single stretch. Yeah, so we'll take a 15-minute break and then do the last session.